Recently, there was a shooting at a gay nightclub, and there were a bunch of reactions to this. There were some good, some bad, some confusing, some outright stupid. But out of all the reactions, I found one that was particularly interesting, and I'm gonna read it to you. I'm sick of this shit. How many people need to be murdered? How many lives torn apart until it actually stops? We don't have to live like this, and we don't have to die like this. And when you hear that, and you see that, you think this person, whoever tweeted this, is somebody who's sick of waking up and hearing about death, domestic violence, school shootings, or any shootings rather, and they want something done in the community, in society, in the country, and in the world, right? You would think anybody who is constantly seeing these things on social media or in the news would be tired of it and would want some change, right? The issue is not the words. The issue is the person who tweeted the words, because it was Lori fucking Lightfoot, the same Lori Lightfoot who's been criticized for not doing much about the crime in Chicago, the person who's fanned blame at store owners for not having enough security, the person who seems to think people criticizing her lack of efforts for all of these issues and more is somehow being misogynistic to her and racist because she's a black woman, the most disrespected group in American history.
About 99% of it.
Expand on that.
Well, I mean, look at my predecessors. Did people say that Rich Daley held tea sessions with people that he didn't disagree on? Rahm Emanuel was a polite guy who was a uniter? No. Women and people of color are always held to a different standard.
Well, my follow-up question is simply this. Many residents in Chicago feel that you've lost control of the city. Now it appears as though you've lost control of the Chicago City Council. Do you owe an apology to the victims of violent crime, the thousands of unsolved shootings and murders and stabbings and random stabbings in the downtown and the south side and the north side and the west side? Do you owe these people any apology?
So once again, sir, I ask you to get your facts right. Crime is not out of control in our city. In fact, crime is on the decline. All of our major indices showed a decline in crime, and our homicides and our shootings year over year are down. That's a fact, sir. Disappointed that they're not doing more to take safety and make it a priority. We still have retailers that won't institute plans like having security officers in their stores, making sure that they've got cameras that are actually operational. A great disappointment to me personally, the superintendent, and truly all involved. No excuses. We must do better.
This is the person who is, and I quote, sick of this shit. How many people need to be murdered and how many lives torn apart until it actually stops? Here's how we could lessen it a little bit more, because as we all know, criminals don't care about the law. They don't value any innocent human being. They don't value any innocent child. They sure as fuck don't value any individual's property. They only value themselves. Here's how you could do a little bit more to help. You could have more security. You could stop this defund the police game. You can stop trying to make it seem as if everything's rosy cheeked, and you could actually try to address some of these problems, because if you don't, you're going to have more instances like this that are problems. Nobody is sitting here advocating for violence upon innocent people. I don't care if you're white, black, straight, gay, trans, it don't matter. Nobody in their right mind is going to advocate for that. However, when you have people like Lori Lightfoot, who have spent such a long time ignoring all this violence and pushing the blame somewhere else and only speaking up when it fits her narrative, because I believe she's a lesbian, and she is, quite frankly, the ugliest looking butch lesbian I have ever seen, you create this well-justified criticism that everybody gave you when you tweeted this nonsense, because you wanted to step up now. You wanted to speak your mind about this. Where were you with your own city when your city was in nothing but ruin? Because a lot of people who are criminals don't care about the laws, and they will chomp at the bit when they realize, hey, the police are really not gonna be in this area.
Just hurting right now, and I want it to stop.
Words can't quite explain what Sharon Purnell and her family are going through. Her husband Larry was shot and killed Saturday in Chicago's West Pullman neighborhood while landscaping a customer's home for Mother's Day. Sharon already lost her son in a shooting 5 years ago. Now she's spending the holiday grieving the loss of her high school sweetheart.
He was a loving person. He was funny. I've been with him since I was 14 years old. when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So I don't know nobody else. That's all I had.
Larry's brother Jared was there working with him on 116th and Low when police say someone got out of a car and started shooting.
Shielded by the house, so we thought. Next thing I know, he in my arms.
Larry was considered the rock of the family while providing for them through a landscaping job he did over the last 5 years. He was also just 2 weeks away from turning 65.
And I was going to plan a party for him, which he didn't know anything about. And now I got to plan a funeral.
As the family continues to mourn, they're pleading for an end to this gun violence plaguing Chicago.
Chicago's a great city, world renowned, internationally known. But the things that are taking place in Chicago is unacceptable.
Well, a Chicago neighborhood feels on edge this morning after multiple robberies and a shooting that has a man fighting for his life. Chicago police believe the same group is behind all these incidents. NBC5's Lisa Chavarria is live at Chicago Police headquarters. So, Lisa, how many robberies do police think this group is responsible for?
Patrick, police are telling us they believe as many as 8 robberies in less than a week. So Chicago police, they're trying to identify this group. That's who they're searching for. But meanwhile, residents are saying that they're frightened. They're very fearful. They're even scared to go out after dark.
After 6 o'clock, we don't go out. That's it. We lock the door. That's all. That's the only thing we can do.
It's terrible. I don't feel good at all. I mean, don't want to walk very late at night in the neighborhood, that's for sure.
Chicago police believe the group behind this robbery and shooting that happened on Webster and Wayne in Lincoln Park is behind several other brazen robberies. Police say the 23-year-old culinary student who was shot 3 times is still in critical but stable condition. This entire violent encounter was captured on security camera. Despite the amount of cameras in the neighborhood, police say they haven't been able to identify the robbers because oftentimes they're wearing masks. They're now asking for the public's help.
There are definitely people out there who know that these guys are going out there committing these acts, and even anonymously will take the information. Detectives can work backwards to get these guys off the street.
Until then, Superintendent David Brown says they will be flooding certain areas being impacted by this increase in crime in Lincoln Park and elsewhere with more police officers. He says that will also mean changes to schedules, including canceling some days off. Now, nearby Alderman Michelle Smith, she's planning on holding a meeting with residents, CPD, and other officials to talk about the residents' concerns in that area, because this is happening very close to so many people, and they are fearful of going out at night because of these robberies that have been happening over the past week or so.
You are, in no uncertain terms, the worst mayor that I have ever been around to vote for and be of legal age to even consider to be in office. I want the people of Chicago to vote you out, and I want somebody, I don't care if they're Democrat, I don't care if they're Republican, I don't care if they just sit in the middle and jerk off all night. I want somebody better than Lori Lightfoot, because the more this woman opens her mouth, the more she somehow stretches her entire leg and puts her foot in it. I am tired of her talking. But that's all I gotta say. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.